What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Them Nerds. Today is Fantasy Friday, and we are going to talk about the Submariner himself, Namor. Namor?
Gamer.
It's Roman backwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Learn something every day.
Not that that's useful in any way. Anyway, that is Jerry. I'm Tony, and me saying Jerry just made my stupid phone think I said Siri. Isn't technology great, folks? First time for everything. We are happy to announce that by the time you're seeing this, we are well past our 100 subscriber goal, and very soon we will be announcing a new contest. So you must like, subscribe, and comment on some videos to be involved in that. Details to be determined. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at We Them Nerds on Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook. I look a little like Roy Orbison today with the glasses.
I don't know who that is.
You know who he is. Oh, pretty woman, that guy. All right, never mind. Anyway, moving right along. So, Namor, not to be confused with Aquaman.
Although
totally different character.
Yeah,
totally
are very similar.
Nothing the same at all. Jerry, give us a little bit of background on this fishy little bastard.
All right. So he was actually created in 1939, and he appeared in a kind of like a cinematic short, and then was later brought into the Marvel Universe the same year. He originally, when he was created, was fighting Nazis, and then went on to join a team with Captain America, going around beating Nazis up and, fighting during Pearl Harbor and stuff. And then eventually going to Wakanda, where he met T'Challa's father, Chakaka, whatever his name was.
That's the one.
Yep. And
Chaka.
Yeah, they ended up actually having a friendship and a frenemy-ship with T'Challa. Oh. And so as you can tell, I think that we've seen now in 2 movies through the MCU that they've talked about these earthquakes under the ocean. So it's already being, kind of hinted at that there's something under the water. I guess we just all choose to ignore it.
Yes. They're not just whale farts.
Nope.
I mean, some of them might be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are whale farts.
Yeah.
Really, that's what the ocean is. Just one big toilet.
Right. That's where I go. All right. So he's a mutant.
Yes.
Right?
Well, he's part mutant, part Atlantean. So all of his aquatic abilities he gets from his mother. And then his father was a sea captain, which gives him his mutant abilities, which is flight. I'm guessing why he has such cool ankle decor.
Yes.
He has 2 little pairs of wings on his ankle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm sure
nothing says cool like winged ankles.
Yeah. Or aerodynamic.
Do they flap?
Yeah. They flutter.
They flutter a bit. Right on. There's some really cool stuff that, speaking of him being a mutant, I know that there's a storyline that he was involved with the Phoenix Force.
Yes.
That would be super cool to see on the big screen. How would you bring him in?
I said it before in the Black Panther video we did. I think that Atlantis has to attack Wakanda. And I think that I would love the idea that you have ocean version of Wakanda, 2 nations that hide themselves to protect their people within it. And if they had like a mirror image of, like Namor also has like some cool girl army that just fights everybody just like Wakanda does, Yeah. And these ocean earthquakes is because they also have some kind of powerful vibranium-ish kind of thing that they are also plundering from the earth, causing these earthquakes. Because they're, the whole point of them is that they're these 2 battling kings.
Right.
So
kind of like a friendly rivalry sort of thing.
Yeah, and I do feel though that you with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, you have to give him a good send off, and any king worth his weight in gold or vibranium, will go out saving his people. So I think that you have Atlantis attack Wakanda for the idea that Wakanda has done something to them, and Black Panther ends up sacrificing himself. And then the rest of the movie is just, one big battle between whales and rhinos.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to see.
I mean, really, you say that, but then you see a rhino on a film, you're like, man, that was awesome. So,
right.
I mean, you imagine...
All the whales need to do is, back out into the water a little bit, though. And the rhinos are just going to be like,
nah, they don't go out like that. Haven't you seen The Boys? I mean, on The Boys, the whale goes right up on the beach. I mean, you can talk him into doing any of this stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't think Namor talks to whales, but I could be wrong. Maybe he does. Maybe they have that kind of bond.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Confusing him with another aquatic hero.
Yeah. I don't know who he matches with on Match.com.
That's bestiality, sir. Any port in a storm, Jerry.
Yeah. The ocean is cold.
Anyway. I want to see. I love the idea of bringing him in the way that you've described. We've been talking about it for a while. I want to see at some point, after he's been introduced, after we start kind of rebuilding things with the Fantastic Four and with the X-Men, I want to see the Illuminati.
Yes. And
Namor, of course, plays a role in that. So once we have our Professor X and once we have our Reed Richards, it'd be cool to have him involved in that as well. All right. So now that we kind of have ideas of what we want to see and how we want to see him brought in, let's do a little fantasy casting. It's Fantasy Friday after all. So I'm going to give you the honors. Cast the man himself.
I was going for Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians. I think that's the right way to go. And I think that, you want to have somebody who's kind of, I know that I've seen other castings beforehand. I agreed when I saw them too, but I think for something, you want somebody kind of menacing, you know what I mean? And this guy's like a big old guy and he's built. I think it'd be great. Has the acting chops. Right.
And, Jerry found this super cool fan poster that you'll see up on screen here, and it's kind of a mock-up of him as the Submariner himself. And interestingly, it's subtitled with a Black Panther 2 film title, which I think goes right along with what you're talking about. I think that's a great casting. I like that. We know that he has a romantic interest who also lives beneath the sea. And her name is Dorma?
Yes.
And what would you go for in terms of her casting?
So my idea was this idea that, you have African kings that have been around forever. And then you also have other emperors that I always think of, or, the Asian emperors that are around the world, So I thought of this idea of them being like more Asian community down underneath this water that have been around for millennia. And so I went with Kamiko Glenn from Orange is the New Black.
That's great. That's the first I'm hearing of this casting, and I approve. Stamp it.
I think that, it's because she has her comedic chops. She can act too. And so it's like, I think that you build this empire that is just like to the level of Wakanda. And I think that's what you have to do.
Right. And for anybody who's, only seen her in Orange is the New Black, she, of course, is in prison. So she looks a little, frumpy. But, when you see her at award shows and stuff, obviously they could do a treatment on her that would make her, look like an undersea queen. I think that would work just fine.
I think also what is cool about the idea is that Atlanteans are all blue. And that's the whole, when Namor, whatever you want to call him today, was born, he's pink.
I think it's pronounced Aquaman.
Yeah. He's pink, you know what I mean? So this idea that he's flesh tone, which makes him an outcast within his own people, who ends up becoming a ruler also. So like I think like, you know, it's just like such a cool idea to like have like different kind of characters. Like, you know, you see we have to break out of this idea of people pigeon toeing what every character is supposed to look like inside of comic books. They're all make believe. So that's right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have a couple of fantasy castings myself here. But I decided to go on to the villainous side of things. Now, I will say that Namor, of all the heroes that I'm familiar with, I think Namor has the suckiest villains. They're all just some variation of evil fishman, quite honestly. But there are a couple of cool ones that have crossed over into other properties, and you know, they're good enough, and they would make a decent, you know, a decent like starter villain before he moves on to deal with, you know, threats like Doctor Doom. And the first one is one of his common villains, but not like his main villains, Tiger Shark, who looks like a big friggin' shark.
Yeah.
But he looks like a man dressed as a shark. And for this role, the man who becomes Tiger Shark is like a cocky, angry ex-Olympic swimmer who's then experimented on by another Atlantean scientist kind of guy. I think that someone who could pull off that kind of cocky role and then kind of turn into like sort of an evil character would be Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead. He plays Aaron on The Walking Dead. I think that he would be really good for this role.
He also was the voice of Red Skull.
Well, there you go. In what?
Endgames.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, you learned something.
He's actually the character that he's plays Red Skull in both those, in Infinity and in Endgame.
Oh.
But I mean, he's totally different, so I mean, it doesn't matter.
I didn't even know that. You learn something new every day.
Roman.
Roman. For my final casting, probably the biggest villain in the actual like Atlantean sort of area, it would be Atuma.
It's not Atuma.
Had to do it. Atuma is sort of his big bad, at least down in under the sea. And for this, you know, it's interesting Jerry picked two characters of Asian descent, because I also chose a character of Asian descent for this role. For the role of Atuma, I chose Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who you probably don't know by name, but he played Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat movies. And he was also most recently seen as Nobusuke Tagomi in Man in the High Castle on Amazon. He's an older guy. He has a really good, like, menacing villain chops, and I think he would be great in that role. I think it would be kind of a cool villain to have around, so that when Namor is off doing, you know, Avengers level threats, this guy could still kind of be under the sea, being pesky and making him keep returning to Atlantis to kind of address that issue.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, he's great in Man in High Castle.
Yeah.
Do you think that the reason why I was going to call him Aquaman, Neymar's villains are kind of on the sucky end is because of the fact that Neymar's at his best when he's the villain?
I do think that I think that he should be played very like line straddling. He's not a nice guy.
He's like, what is it called? Like an anti-hero? Like,
yeah.
It's like, I'm forced to be nice. This is why I'm doing it.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's just like the guy who like comes into your house and he steals your wife, like he does with Fantastic Four with Sue Storm. I mean, like, this is like really what he does all day long. He's just like big pimping it up, trying to be like, hey, sure, you single? Anything goes in the ocean. Ask the whales.
Want to go for a swim? I have a dolphin that you have to meet.
And so, and like, you know, he, like you said, you know, he rides that line of hero and villain, and he's, I mean, a lot of times, like more times than probably most, he goes for the villainous side. It's one of those things like his bottom line is what always is going to come out at the end.
I think that I'm really clamoring for interaction between him and Doctor Doom on screen.
Absolutely.
And I think the reason that those two always sort of like resonate with me as a you know, a pair that competes is because both of them do what must be done to protect their people.
Mm-hmm. Like Black Panther.
Right. I think that Black Panther is like, he's, you know, as you saw when he opened up Wakanda to outside influence, he's like a pure good guy. Like he does whatever he has to do to protect his people. But when you know, push comes to shove, he's going to do whatever the good guy does. Dr. Doom, on the other hand, he does what's best for his people, but he's also a total a-hole, and he's just going to like kill people because he can. Namor is sort of in the middle. He does what's best for his people, but he's kind of neutral. Like he's not going to help you if it doesn't help his people, if it doesn't help his interests.
Yeah.
So him and Dr. Doom, I think, would be a really great kind of you know, conflict to see on screen.
It's like, you know, case in point is his biggest team ups is always with the Fantastic Four, and it's never because he's doing it because he wants to help the Fantastic Four. It's always about showing off for Sue Storm so he can steal her from Mr. Fantastic. So, you know, it's like the guy is like, it's his bottom line is all he's going for every single time. So, I mean, I think that's a character actually that is missing in the MCU. Like, you know, it's this idea that I'll do it, but what is it in for me? And like, we don't really have that right now.
Yeah. He, I think that he would fit in really well to the current landscape. It'd be great. All right, that is our Fantasy Friday for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, smash that notification button, because when we put out new content, we want you to see it. Also follow us on social media at We Them Nerds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Especially check out Instagram, because this guy on the other side of the screen over here does a really cool character spotlight on Instagram all the time, and it is awesome. Check it out. You won't be sorry. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you again soon. Be good. Be good to each other.
It's not Atuma.
Doing that joke gives me a tumor every time. Bye, guys.